Hello, everybody. I'm a practicing therapist and a doctoral student of psychology. Today, we're going to go over ways to reduce that distance between you and your avoidant partner. A lot of avoidant individuals keep their partner at arm's length until some of these things that we're going to talk about is integrated within the relationship. And I think some of these things can take some time, and so that's very important to recognize, but some of them can actually happen right away, to which you will literally see your partner in a couple weeks make that readjustment and get really close to you. And so that's very important. So the very first one is that you focus on your own emotional stability. This one is very important, but this one is probably the one that may take a little bit longer for your partner to get on board and recognize what's going on. So what do I mean by emotional stability? Emotional stability from this perspective would mean that often you find ways within yourself as well as other coping means externally to manage your emotions and not necessarily always entirely on your partner. And I'm not saying that you guys do that, but sometimes we don't recognize that we may lean on people in our lives a little bit too much from their perspective. I'm not saying you're too much. I'm saying sometimes avoidant individuals, they have a smaller threshold to take some of these emotions. And they may view it as your emotional instability, even though that's not necessarily what it is. But if you're able to stabilize your emotions regardless of your partner showing up or not, this can actually help make your emotions not as overwhelming. And so therefore your partner is actually more willing to come a little bit closer to those emotions and start trying their hand at managing your emotions and trying to make you happy, right? So I'm going to give you an example. Let's say you had a very difficult and challenging day at work. Most likely you want to reach out to your partner, which you absolutely have that right. But the way you reach out and the way you show up may make or break that conversation. And I understand this can be a little bit challenging because you don't want to always have to manage your feelings around your partner. However, the truth of the matter is that a lot of avoidant individuals can be a little intimidated by those emotions. But once they get more comfortable with it, you'll be able to be more fluid. But it usually starts like this. And so in this example, let's just say that difficult day at work was so frustrating that you're maybe on the brink of tears and you're feeling really emotional, you're really frustrated, and you call your partner and they talk to you on the phone and they're kind of busy and they say, hey, I'll call you back in, an hour and then we can talk about it. But you're really upset and you call them 3 or 4 times and they don't pick up. And now your emotions are risen even more. Your partner is probably feeling a little bit on the edge because they're kind of thinking, okay, what happened? And often they might think, okay, looks like you might need a little bit of space to just manage your own self because it sounds like you're struggling. And what do avoidants do when they're struggling emotionally? They have space. They give themselves space. And so they're trying to give you space, but you're perceiving that as abandonment, possibly. I'm not saying you, but this is an example. And then the emotional surplus is starting to increase forward, and then they're starting to pull away backward. And so you're starting to see that gap. And so this is where that distance starts showing up, right? Now, how can we make it so this doesn't happen? Let's try it again. Let's look at it from a different angle. Let's say this individual had a very difficult day. They're very upset. They call their partner. Partner picks up and says, hey, I hear you, but I'm kind of busy. Can I call you back in 1 hour? Okay, so what do? You're still really, really upset. So in that hour, let's say you take a walk. Maybe you have some ice cream, maybe you journal, whatever it is, and you try and manage yourself, calm yourself down in whichever way while still preparing for, I'm going to have this conversation with my partner. Maybe you could even write down some of the points that you want to talk about just so you can get it off your chest and kind of clean it up a little bit prior so that it's a little more streamlined for the conversation that you're about to have. And when your partner calls you in that hour, you say, thank you very much for calling me. I really appreciate it. I had a really bad day at work. I had a coworker leave early, so I had to do double the amount of work. My boss was very stressed out because of that and took anger out on me. It was really hard. And then you're able to adjust your emotions. You're still emotional, but you're still allowing it to remain in a stable situation to where your partner takes it more, it's more palatable to them, it's more digestible to them. And they also can appreciate that you gave them that time and waited. And so now they're more willing to lean in, okay? And so that's an example of focusing on your emotional stability. It doesn't mean that you don't have emotions. It just means that you're able to be flexible with those emotions, okay? The next one is that you can have open and non-demanding conversations, both of you guys, right? This is not all on you. Any conversation that you have, let's say you guys have been together for 4 years and you're talking about moving in together, and you say, maybe the rates are going down. You're saying, the rates are going down. We both have some money saved up. I think that we can put more money down if we both put it together, and maybe we can both get on the mortgage. How do you feel about that if we live together? And maybe your partner says, yeah, I'm open to it. Maybe. And you hear that. Okay, maybe means yes, maybe it could mean no. But you heard that this is an opportunity, that it might be leaning in the forward direction. And so you're still having that open conversation. You might say, okay, I hear you. I just think it might be a good way for us to save money. So thank you for being open to my perspective. So you had an open and non-demanding conversation. Whereas a demanding, I don't know if demanding is the right word, but I'm just going to use it, but I don't mean it in an offensive way. Maybe a more specific conversation might be a better word. I'm not sure. Where you might be specifying, hey, I want to move in as soon as possible. This is a really good opportunity. The rates might not stay as low as they are. They might go back up. I wish that you would hear me. Let's do this as soon as possible. Let's go on tours. Let's see what we can do. Let's kind of sign up for this. Let's look at rates together. Let's talk to lenders. And so you might be pushing them a little bit in a direction that they might not be ready for right away. But it allows the conversation to not necessarily be open. It's actually in closing. And so it makes the avoidant feel a little bit suffocated. And so by having it a little bit more open might be a little bit more helpful. The next one is that you both hold each other accountable. And this is really important. And I think a lot of people don't think avoidants like this. I work with so many avoidants, and so many of them say, yeah, hold me accountable. Just give me time. Like if I don't deliver, I don't show up, tell me, but let me show you I can do it. And so that's the only caveat. But overall, hold your partner accountable. If they say, hey, I'm going to text you when I get home, and they haven't texted you in a couple hours and they probably are home, text them, hey, I hope that you're okay. Usually you text me at this time, what's going on? And they might text you, hey, I forgot. Sorry about that. And just say, no problem. I appreciate it. Just next time, keep me posted. Something very simple, held them accountable, okay? The next one is you respect your partner's independence. And of course, they respect yours. It's very important to not try to control your partner or expect them to change necessarily directly for you, while eventually they probably will, but you don't want that to be such a specific expectation right off the bat. You want to slowly integrate that into the relationship for both you guys. You want to respect their independence. You always want to let them do their thing. Maybe they like to play pool on the weekends. Let them go play pool and do something competitive. It makes them feel good, and they come back and they're in a better mood, and then they're happy, and you guys can hang out together in a much better way. In the mornings, you can spend more time together, right? Maybe they like to go hunting, and sometimes those trips are long. And maybe that can make you a little bit lonely, but when you respect that independence, they're more likely to be in a better mood when they come home. And so this is very important, okay? And also in general, while they're doing that, you can, invest in your own passions, your own boundaries, and start letting yourself appreciate yourself. You can let your partner know you miss them. And you want to pursue that connection, of course, but it also allows you guys both to have something to talk about when you guys reconnect. The next one I think is very important, and then we're going to finish it up, is in general, don't always make the relationship so serious and negative all the time. Of course, serious talks are very important, but sometimes have moments where you can relax, you can have fun, you can take a walk together, you can watch a movie together. Enjoy that lightheartedness and connection in that relationship. You can even make jokes together, create shared adventures like taking a walk, going kayaking, going swimming, whatever it is, so that you guys can see each other from different sides. And usually these things, adding it all together over time really, really helps an avoidant to stop pulling away, okay? I hope this video was helpful. Please like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.